switcheroo. My friend Mike and Jaymo too.
All Aircraft Report. This is the old switcheroo where we're talking gaming retro with Mike and Jayno.
Jano?
That's Mike, and I'm Jayno. Join us on our epic quest to research and review all 200 plus games in the Nintendo Switch Online Retro Catalog. Today we'll be barrel rolling into the Star Fox games on Super Nintendo and Nintendo 64 in an episode that we are calling General Pepper's Only Arwing Band. Yes, Mike, I knew it. I freaking knew Mike was going to love that cover, or the title, I mean. And Mike, listen, how do you feel about my title? Be honest.
I wish I saw that coming.
Yes, I knew you were proud of me. You're a great wingman and all, Mike. You know, I appreciate it, but there's no such thing as a two-person fighter squadron. So would you mind calling in reinforcements for us?
All right, so we also have Jordan coming in from Arcadiology to join us this week.
That is me. How's it going, boys?
It is going good.
It is better now that you're here. Yeah.
Oh, how sweet. What a sweetheart.
So before we get going, you want to give a quick pitch on what you guys do over at Arcadiology?
Arcadiology. So we, as we like to say, we dig up your favorite arcade relics. We are arcadiologists at heart. So we like to play old arcade games from, late 80s, early 90s or so. The most recent one we recorded, of course, we just did Joe and Mac Returns with Mr. Mike. I don't want to say too much ahead of that yet, because I know they don't like when I spoil things, but
we are going to be out way later.
True. But I don't even know. I think there's some kind of Mega Man game or something coming up soon. I didn't even know they had Mega Man games for the arcade, but
Is it the fighting game one?
I don't know.
Okay, that's
Brad,
an interesting one.
Yeah, Brad just said there's some kind of Mega Man game, and I just said, honestly, I've never played a Mega Man game. I know. It's weird, right? I have to admit that right here, right now, though. I have not, but so
Wow.
this will be my first one, which is probably not cool. But yeah, we like to play old arcade games, and we'll talk about them, do a little bit of trivia, compare scores, compare token counts, how long it took us to beat the game, and just sit down together and have a good old time.
It's a fun listen. I just listened to your Turtles episode. Little surprised at how low it ranked, but I was like, did that game really not age that well? Like, now that you've had a couple of weeks to sit with the episode, you guys regret that placement, or is JJ Squawkers just that good?
Listen, dude, oh my God. I don't know if you're just messing with me right now, because I love the Ninja Turtles arcade game. I live for that game. I cannot tell you how many times in my life I have played and enjoyed that game. I hated JJ Squawkers, man. And they loved it, and I got outnumbered both times. What can I say, man? If it were up to me, Ninja Turtles #1.
I'm trolling you a little bit. I knew that.
I knew you would be, man.
Yeah, but I mean, but for the record, though, I'm with you. Like, I think
dude.
they ignore you're playing a Turtles game. It's just fun to look at. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
but JJ Squawkers look pretty sick. Like, been looking into that game. Never heard of it before your podcast, and I was like, this game's wild.
Yeah, I've never heard of that before, and it does look very interesting. It's very I assume acid trippy. It has that look to it for sure, that aesthetic, but just not really my kind of game personally. I'm not saying it's like the worst game we've played. It's not. But man, Ninja Turtles is always no. See, I was the one making the argument. Nostalgia matters, and we all grew up on that game, and we love Turtles, but I don't want to just like spoil the ranking for anyone who hasn't seen our show yet, but I will say Turtles isn't quite as high as it should be.
Yeah, to totally agree with that. And I'm excited to hear the episode you recorded with Mike about Joe and Mac Returns. Our listeners might remember, or our two listeners might remember that we covered the Joe and Mac games for Super Nintendo, and Mike really liked it. And so, I'm excited to hear how it fares as a single screen arcade game. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, and props to Mike, because I had never heard of that series at all, and I really enjoyed that one. That was one of my more favorite ones that we've done so far.
No, that was, I'd never heard of that until we stumbled into it, and it's a weird franchise that they hid one of the games. So it's confusing.
Weird franchise is definitely a word for it, because there was definitely some suspicious stuff going on in that game.
God.
But
it's kind of, but so that's kind of Mike's like secret sauce. Is that Mike likes kind of Hanna-Barbera, and he likes arcade games, and he's a little like, what's the word? Subversive. You know what I mean? Like, it's just inappropriate enough. That's kind of Joe and Mac and Mike to a T in my mind. And I mean that as a compliment, Mike.
Definitely a few things that might not fly today in
No,
that game.
no, not cancel culture proof at all.
Not quite.
Well, guys, I know we're gonna have a lot to say. So are you both ready to open the wings, as it were?
Let's do it, Fox.
All right. So today we are talking about Star Fox 64, and Star Fox 2, released on the Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, and Super Nintendo Classic, respectively. Release dates 1993, 1997, and 2017. We decided to change the format of our show a little bit for this one because Star Fox 64 is a remake of Star Fox, essentially. And then Star Fox 2 is this sort of man out of time curio in that it was fully finished and then canceled and not released until much later. So the order, quote unquote, of these games is kind of nebulous. And so since they're so similar, we're going to just kind of combine our discussions and hit each game as we cover different topics here. I normally like to read the description off the Nintendo Switch Online emulator, but I thought I would save the listeners the torture of hearing all three. So I used Microsoft's Copilot AI program to combine all three descriptions. And no, Mike, we don't have a sponsor, but we should after this. If it will please the court, I'll read you guys the AI combined description of all three games. It says, embark on an interstellar adventure with Fox McCloud and the Star Fox team as they battle the nefarious scientist Andross to save the Lylat system. Pilot the versatile Arwing fighter through dynamic 3D environments from alien seas to urban landscapes, executing acrobatic maneuvers like barrel rolls and quick turns. With the addition of team members Miyu and Faye, the expanded Star Fox team faces off against Andross's forces in epic space combat. Utilize the Arwing's transformative abilities, shifting into all-range mode for omnidirectional battles or walker mode for ground assaults. Your mission, navigate through the galaxy, completing daring missions, and lead the Star Fox team to triumph over the invading forces. The fate of the Lylat system rests in your hands. The irony of using AI to summarize a plot about a runaway scientist and the dangers of technology, that is not lost to me. What do you guys think of AI? How did Microsoft's Copilot program do?
Did that mention seas that you're in?
You didn't get to the hidden underwater level of Star Fox 64, did you, Mike?
Apparently not.
Oh, I love that one.
It's a sick level. We'll talk about it.
Very good one.
Yeah, and memorable too. We'll get to the details with that a little bit later here. So, brief history of Star Fox. This is summarized from WatchMojo.com and Unseen64. The developer was Argonaut Software. It was led by 16-year-old computer programmer Jez San. He got Nintendo's attention by being, well, first of all, a little too good at overriding their copyright protection. It's one of those cool moments of, like, the military hiring a hacker to help them be hack-proof. So that's how Jez San first got Nintendo's attention. But he developed two games called X and NES Glider. They were the first games to show that you could use just single lines to create implied shapes that could then be perceived as three-dimensional graphics. He basically invented the very first polygons for the NES, SNES, and even the Game Boy. He had 3D gameplay running on the Game Boy. He proposed that if they built a special processor chip directly into the cartridge, they could make even better graphics. And so Nintendo loved the idea. They bankrolled it as the Super FX chip. Star Fox has a processing chip inside the cartridge, and they made it even more advanced with Star Fox 2. Mike, you're making a face. What do you think of the Super FX chip? Have you heard of this? Did you know this was a thing?
One of the manuals I was looking at had Super FX on the manual, and I thought that I was at the manual for like the wrong version of the game or something.
Right.
So that's number one, is just, it was weird to, like, I stumbled upon that, not realizing that's what I was looking at. Is there a connection then between them creating this FX chip and these games being about a fox, which is one letter away from FX? Like, was that the process here of, we need some animal for the FX chip, and eventually someone's like Fox? That's basically the same thing.
Jordan, do you know?
I don't, but that sounds like one heck of a theory. I kind of like it.
Well, okay, so your theory, Mike, makes more sense than the real naming of the chip. While it was being developed, they called it Mario for motion Argonaut ratio input and output. And I was just like, you can't use ratio as an adjective. Come on, guys. That was a stretch.
Oh, you totally can.
Ratio as, oh, like, so this is a ratio calculation.
I don't normally bring in my day job in this, but the realm of science is full of things where people knew what they wanted as a name for a project and then had to figure out what words could possibly make that work. So the idea that they figured out how to do this with Mario, when I deal with software things where, people come up with how to have Triceratops and Cocoa Puffs and all kinds of things that was like, I like this word. I'm ending this into standing for something. This is perfectly normal to me.
So then Fox would make a lot of sense. So the Super FX chip was so powerful that according to arwinglanding.net, Jez Sand joked in an interview that the chip was so much more powerful than the SNES that the SNES was basically just a box to hold their chip. But that's why the 3-dimensional graphics were like mind-blowing at the time. Now, I was born in 85, and Mike, you were too, I believe, right?
Yes.
So, Jordan, is it rude to ask how old you are? Because I'm wondering if you have the same kind of history we have of this game.
Nah, you got a few years on me. I was born in 91. I'm 32.
Okay. It's not bad. I mean, not bad. Like, so I remember seeing these graphics because I was a Sega kid, a Sega Genesis kid.
Me too.
And I was so jealous. I was so jealous because our system couldn't do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely my first console as well, was Genesis. And I really didn't get a Nintendo console at all until 64. So the SNES originally just totally passed me by.
That's so funny. I have the exact same history. And 64 was my first Nintendo console.
Yep.
And it was like the one you had to have, though, because it was like the 4-player one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My brother and I demanded it.
I shouldn't say this because it's being recorded, but I pretended to be someone's friend to get invited to their house to play Nintendo 64. And then I made a podcast with him years later.
Listen, man, you gotta do what you gotta do. It does not matter. A mission accomplished at the end of the day.
I appreciate your understanding, Jordan.
Always.
So Star Fox was a hit. It sold over 3 million units. And a sequel, Star Fox 2, was developed concurrently with the N64 remake. Nintendo got cold feet when Star Fox 2 was 95% complete. They were worried that the graphics would compare unfavorably to the Sega Saturn and Sony PlayStation. And they also were afraid that they would lose X number of sales of N64 units. Because in theory, you have like Star Fox fans who are like, well, I'm still getting a new game on the Super Nintendo. I don't need to upgrade to the N64. So purely for business decisions, they soft canceled it. They still finished the entire development of it, including customer testing, which is interesting. And once they made sure the game was ready to go, they put it on the shelf until 2017, when it was, to everyone's surprise, included in the Super Nintendo Classic, and then was added to Nintendo Switch Online in 2019, which is why we're talking about it. But it is, Star Fox 2, arguably one of the most influential games of all time, because the legend has it that the 3D platforming sections caught the eye of one Shigeru Miyamoto, who was observing the levels in which you would play as the walker and jump onto switches. And that inspired one of the most important games in history. Any guess what it is, guys?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'm gonna go ahead and guess it was Super Mario 64.
You are correct.
Look at that.
Yes.
I am the smartest man alive.
You are the smartest man alive. Mike's like, I would have missed that.
All the jumping, I'm just thinking, is Qbert, which is number one, not switches, and number two, in the past, and therefore definitely not the right answer.
Hey, nothing's impossible, man. Nothing is impossible.
I love that attitude. So let's go into the box art, because often people's first impressions were seeing the games on the shelves. Jordan, you're laughing. What's your reaction to these box art pictures?
Dude, he looks so goofy in the original one.
So for audio listeners here, the original Star Fox box has a puppet of Star Fox posing very proudly, is pushing out his chest while Arwings are zipping by in the background. This puppet, Mike, you don't say anything interesting about Star Fox? Take a close look at this here, because this box art, in addition to being kind of silly looking, actually started a very persistent fan rumor.
I know where you're going with this.
Jordan, where am I going with this?
Well, does he want to guess first?
I do not know where you're going with this.
Go, Jordan.
Are we talking about the metal legs?
The metal legs. So if you look closely, it very much looks like his legs have been amputated or he lost them in some kind of battle. So it led to this fan theory that all Star Fox pilots, because all the character puppets look like that with these metal, shin and below, looking kind of robotic or like a prosthetic leg. So people theorize that Star Fox pilots deliberately amputate their legs to avoid blood clotting by the G-force. But this theory was debunked. According to comicbookresource.com, the game's original programmer, Dylan Cuthbert, said that these are just high-tech boots and that the amputee theory was really weird.
I mean, it is really weird.
It's weird, but it's also interesting.
Right? And like, I would say, I don't know, Jordan, if you agree, but Star Fox's bigger legacy, I think at this point is Smash Brothers.
Oof.
Like, I just think more people know him because the Star Fox series has not been successful. And so he's one of the best Smash Brothers characters. And I was like, man, all those fast kicks he does with a metal leg.
In Melee too, man, that's the guy, man. Fox, Final Destination, no items. That's the rule for Melee.
I'd say you're a purist.
I mean, I don't do that, but I
Okay.
have definitely heard that plenty of times.
I mean, this is why, like, the only thing in these games that is familiar to me is whatever the heck whatever Fox, the ship that's on the Star Fox 64 box.
Great Fox is the name of the home base.
Great Fox,
the big ship.
Yeah, and I'm just like, because I saw that, I'm like, hey, I punched people on top of that.
Mhm.
You know that from this, and it's a great Smash Brothers stage.
Yeah.
It's a classic one.
Yeah, you got the blasters in the front, so like it'll hit you if you're trying to recover too far from the left. And I just remember like a lot of times we'd be on the fin of Great Fox, like dropping bombs at each other. I really hope Smash Brothers comes. I want a OG Smash Brothers. That was Mike and I's game.
Oh,
Let's talk about the N64 box art here. Iconic here. You've got a close up of Star Fox flying right towards the camera, Great Fox blasting in the background, but probably its most notable, and I would say almost your eye goes straight to it, is the Rumble Pak advertisement. This was the first game to feature force feedback gameplay. You would plug this thing into the bottom of the N64 and it would rumble in time with the gameplay. And I found some interesting trivia about the Rumble Pak. It actually required AAA batteries, and it could supply a staggering amount of continuous shaking before those AAAs would be depleted. So I'm curious if you guys can guess how many hours of nonstop rumbling did the Rumble Pak do? We'll do Price is Right rules. Who can get closest without overbidding?
how many hours it lasts?
Continuous rumbling before the AAA battery you put in the Rumble Pak would die.
Like, so if it never stops rumbling
Correct.
forever.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Basically, how many? I'll give you a clue. How many days could it do?
Oh my, I was gonna really undershoot this. Okay, I'm gonna say 32 days.
32 days?
Sure, I don't know. You said days, so I'm going
Okay.
I'm going hard here.
Okay, Mike?
$1, Bob.
Oh yeah, I should have went first.
50 to 60 hours.
You said days, so I'm thinking like,
50 to
it's
60
probably going
hours
for
is multiple days. I
days.
didn't think you'd go insane.
Okay, it is multiple days, but I would see when you say 50 to 60 hours, I still think of that as hours.
I hear you.
So
Well, Mike won that round.
I thought you just said days because it was something outrageous.
I set you up for a fall.
It's okay, man. I forgive you.
Mike, what do you think of Star Fox 2's box art?
This feels closer to what I would expect out of, like, I'm thinking an afternoon cartoon.
Or a cereal box, right? Like, this is the one I think of the three box arts, I think Star Fox 2 is the miss. Because there's something just sort of Fox looks frumpy, kind of looks like he's holding up his pants like they're gonna fall over. Peppy looks too aggressive. Slippy looks way too aggressive.
For him, yes.
I feel like Miyu and Faye, the new pilots off to the right, they fared a little better, but I think that's also because I just don't have a touchstone to compare them to. Like, Peppy and Slippy and Falco have such distinct personalities in my brain. So to see Slippy looking all cool, I was like, that's not Slippy.
Yeah, whereas I feel like I would take that cover over the original.
Oh, really? I like the puppet.
He creeps me out, man.
I didn't even know
Aw.
it was a puppet until now. It just seemed weird to me. Like, I couldn't figure out what they were doing with the looks of those characters. So puppet explains a lot.
They made full puppets for magazine advertisements and a promotional video that would play in video game stores.
It feels like this was 2/3 of the way to being like a Super Marionation show in accompanied with the game.
Well, so when they brought Star Fox back to the Wii U with Star Fox Zero, which was yet another remake of Star Fox, it was the third version of that game, or fourth if you argue, the Star Fox 64 3D. But anyway, they turned it into a full cartoon, and it's like a 40-minute episode. And it's actually pretty cool, but not puppets. I want the puppets.
Yeah, no, honestly, my only criticism on Star Fox 2, like, I think it's good as a design. I think it doesn't reflect the game well because the ships are just little things in the corners.
Yeah.
Like that's my criticism of it. But in terms of characters or anything like that, I definitely like that one better than Star Fox. And I think Star Fox 64 is the best one just because that is ships focused.
It's where the action is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a sucker for puppets and photos. So I would give the edge to the first Star Fox, but it sounds like I'm outvoted. Star Fox 64 for the win. Anything else to say about the box art before we dive into our joy pros and cons about these games?
I'm just now noticing Andross's creepy face in the background of the Star Fox 2 one.
Yeah.
It's a great touch.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I just have issue with that though, because like Andross, like you obliterate him at the end of Star Fox, and he comes back with an eye patch, and it's like I'm pretty sure I damaged more than one eyeball on that guy.
With pretty much the same fight.
Yeah.
I will ask a question here because I'm wondering if this impacted box art and otherwise comes up elsewhere, which is, was the box art different in like Europe where this was
Lylat Wars?
Yeah.
Star Fox 64 was called Lylat Wars when it was released in Europe, and some versions it's like Star Blaster or something. It's like in some ways it leans more heavily into the Star Wars influence, and sometimes it becomes more generic. But yeah, I didn't want to go through all the different versions, but you're not crazy for remembering that.
I mean, that's not how I remember it. That's the manual I found is the European manual. So it was like Lylat. Yeah, that seems like a thing they'd do.
Yeah, they did.
But is that just like a swap out on the title?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they had like a whole different way that they marketed that or why they had to change that is the other. What was the original Star Fox just Star Fox everywhere, or did that have different names?
It was Star Fox, I know, in North America. I think there was a different title, but I know it wasn't Lylat something.
Okay.
So I could make up an answer because this is a podcast in 2024. Like I don't have to say I don't know, but I don't know.
Okay.
Well, so let's get into their joy pros and joy cons of the game. Jordan, why'd you pick this of all the games we're doing? You expressed interest in Star Fox. What's your history with these games? What do you think of them?
Okay, so 1 and 2 are actually brand new to me. So I just played them for the first time for the show. Star Fox 64, I will say there are a handful of games that I played that I more or less know like the back of my hand. And this is one of them. This is one of the, as far as games I grew up with, this is right up there, like top 3, top 5 of games I've played the most of by far. And it's kind of weird too, because it's a very short game. You play through it and it's done. You play it again, you're just doing basically the same thing. You can change little bits and pieces, but just one of those games that never got old to me. And I'll still pick it up here and there every now and then and just go through it again. 40 minutes, it's done. Had a great time.
Yeah, it hits just this sweet spot. It's just so satisfying. I feel like your weapons are just strong enough, but you feel just vulnerable enough. And the voice acting and the presentation, the music, the giant robots, it's just like it's like what are those little the perefours, those like sweet desserts where it's just like you gobble it up in one sitting and you don't regret it because it didn't take too much from you. It's such a giving game that way.
Yes, it's not something you're sinking a ton of time into. If you want to just play something pretty quickly and have a good time, this is a good one to do.
But there's so many secrets and like alternate paths and things to unlock that take real great amounts of precision. So if you want to lose yourself to the game, it'll happily let you, but it does not require it. And I think that's really cool. So did you pick up any of the re-releases? I did the Star Fox 64 3D on the 3DS. I did the Virtual Console release. I did Star Fox Zero, which is another remake of this game. Like, I honestly think I bought a version of this game like 6 times.
So I really considered getting the 3DS version back in the day, but I never ended up doing it. I think that's just when I was a broke college student and couldn't really afford to buy anything. So I never ended up buying that. I do know I have another Star Fox game that I bought at like our retro game store not that long ago. And I'm going to be honest, I buy so many games from there and forget I bought them. So I don't remember which Star Fox game it was I bought, but it could be that one you mentioned. But the only other console I ever actually played Star Fox 64 on was a little GP. If you've ever heard of a GPD XD Plus, it's essentially just like a an emulation handheld system. And I played it on there a good bit, and I learned when I got to the last level that playing this on an N64 controller compared to anything else is just so different. because
Yeah.
I would get my butt kicked playing it on that, but I'd go right back to 64 and just cruise through it. So I need that N64 controller for Star Fox 64 at least, of course.
So, Mike, the coolest guy you know got you an N64 controller for Christmas last year. How did Star Fox 64 control with the N64 Classic controller?
I only played it with that. I didn't bother to try playing it with the Switch controller, and it really fit with the N64 controller really well, to the point that I'm like, I fear how they had to map that to the Switch controls.
Would you like to see Mike? Because it's one of my Joy Cons. If I may drag out my podium for a second, Nintendo, you gotta let us customize our controls in these freaking retro games. You can do it. I know you can because it's built into the system. I can go into the system menu and remap any control I want. But let us have specific configuration for specific titles, because the way that they make this work on the Pro controller is to have the right joystick serve as a replacement for the C buttons. So up on the right joystick is C up, down on the right joystick is C down. That doesn't have the same feel. Flicking a stick and pressing a button are very different tactily, speed-wise. It just doesn't feel the same. So you can struggle greatly like I did doing like somersaults, for example. Felt very easy on N64 controller, but to do a somersault using the Switch Pro controller, you need to push the left stick down and the right stick left. Like, it breaks my brain. Jordan, did this tie you up? Because you played the game on the N64 controller so many times, playing it recently via emulation, you kind of felt fumbly like I did, right?
Yes, it was terrible. So that GPD that I mentioned that I played it on, it's a similar situation. It has two sticks rather than obviously 8 buttons or 6
Right.
buttons or whatever on the side of the controller. So you were using the stick in place of the C buttons. And yeah, it just makes a world of difference, man. Especially in the all range mode. That's when it really, really hurt.
Yeah, when you go into full 3D gameplay.
Mhm.
So you don't have to use the joysticks, though. I'm going to read this exactly as I wrote it, if you guys would humor me. Your other option is to use the X and Y buttons, but the way they mapped it is really bizarre because Y is C left, and the highest face button, X, is C down. So the highest button on the face of the controller is C down. Doesn't that make you want to freaking cough up blood when you just think about it? So, ready, Mike? I think I'm going to accidentally summon a demon by reading this out loud. If they wanted to faithfully recreate the layout from the original controller, which you guys can see on the screen, B would be A, Y would be B, X would be C left, A would be C down.
It's actually really funny that this is coming up right now because I was at an Airbnb last night with a few of my friends. We had an away football game today. We stayed out there for the night last night. They were playing, I think, Mario Party on the Switch, and I very, very vividly remember them complaining that they couldn't figure out what button did what. Like, they couldn't figure out what the Z button was, which was a big thing. And they were taking way too much time trying to figure that out.
And it's like, if you are losing people who grew up with these games, you're fumbling this. I mean, I think this is why no one talks about this service. I think we're the only podcast about Nintendo Switch Online because they do weird stuff like this.
Can I take this chance as an overview thing to figure out how far we did with these? Because it's clear both of you, it sounds like, have beaten Star Fox 64.
Yes, and I'm going to bet, Jordan, that you've even gotten the real ending.
Oh my! Every time I play it, I only do the hard route.
You're so impressive. It's tough. Well, I tried to beat this game, and I did.
Nintendo.
Family computer.
And we're referring to Star Fox 64 right now, just for the record.
Mhm.
Jordan beat it. Yes, he did.
Nintendo.
Family computer.
Mike, no rewinds, no save states. Playing it like Jordan and I did back in the 90s. Did you beat this game?
I did not. I got as far as some corridor that I was chasing something through, and
Okay.
Oh, you got to the last level. That's in Venom. So the statue, the big
Mhm.
statue, and he's pulling pieces of the wall to get in your way.
He's cool.
He's super cool. The big stone monkey, the ape, the gorilla. Yeah. Dang, Mike. So, Mike, what do you like? Because you never played these games. I think I made you play multiplayer for 10 minutes back in the 90s or something, but you never sat down with these games before. What's your opinion of the Star Fox series overall?
so that starts with Star Fox, because I played these in a chronological order. God, they did this in a confusing way. Star Fox, I found really hard to play. Just visually, it was difficult to know what I was looking at or what I was looking for on screen.
Because the graphics were so choppy and the polygons so basic.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
the distinction between an enemy or just like random debris at a different distance was real tough. So a lot of the battle scenes were just like, I'm just firing and sort of aiming a ship around and hoping that things happen to be there.
Jordan, was that your impression too? Because you, like you said, you played this for the first time for this episode. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, of course. And then, yeah, also your ally ships tend to blend in a lot in the original game as well, just because, the graphics just aren't quite there. This is Polygon, the game, basically. You can't really always tell what's what. And the other thing that kind of made it tough playing this one coming from 64 was you didn't have that little that reticle, those crosshairs in the middle of the screen that
Yeah.
showed you where you were aiming. So it was kind of a crapshoot at sometimes.
Yeah, definitely. When a target was far away, I'm firing my laser, being like, I hope it hits. Oh,
Mhm.
hey, it hit. You know what I mean? The precision of Star Fox 64 is just not there. Jordan, did you beat the original Star Fox?
Yes, I did. Of course, I did use save states because it is tougher playing on playing the old game nowadays. And games back then were a little bit tougher as well too. But I used save states to get there, but I did get there.
Doesn't matter to me. You intended.
Family computer.
Twice actually, I'll say. I had two separate paths to get there.
Nice. Mike?
I did not.
Okay.
I got to stage 4.
We'll get to the high scores later. You think I beat this game, Mike?
Did you beat this game, Jeremy?
I intended.
Family computer.
All right. I was surprised at how much I like Star Fox on the SNES. I definitely knew it was going to be a step down from Star Fox 64, but I just found myself just appreciating the heck out of it because of how it's not just 3D basic polygons. There's moments where like the camera zooms dynamically behind you so you can dive into the ground. You're in these tight corridors. Did so much more with those basic polygons than I expected, and I was surprised to say it held my attention all the way through. I like Star Fox. I would say it's worth a playthrough. I'm kind of jumping to the end of the episode, but I don't know. I was smitten with it, and it was fun to see like, oh, I know this from Star Fox 64. Those giant robots look a lot cooler because Star Fox 64 essentially tells the same story and has some of even the same sort of levels, like flying through the rings on the first level, or excuse me, not the ring, the archways. And you got your showdown with Andros at the end, that really iconic big mask face just spitting the squares at you. That is, I think, probably one of the top 10 video game bosses of all time.
I'm impressed that they could make Star Fox.
Yeah.
That does not mean that I am particularly taken with that game. It was very much this is very tough, but I'm surprised it exists like this.
Right. Yeah. And like I think you have to acknowledge the way that these games innovated each time. Star Fox was one of the very first 3D space shooters. Star Fox 64 adds the Rumble Pak, and now that's an industry standard. It like became, the industry. Star Fox 2 though, even though it was never released, they took a big swing and changed up the format. They made it sort of turn-based strategic. You're not just going from level to level, you're picking your level on a map that is changing dynamically. So Jordan, what do you think of Star Fox 2?
So yeah, this one it's interesting because of just how different it is. I'll tell you what, when I first turned it on, it was very confusing to me. They were saying a lot of things. It was kind of going all over my head. There was just a lot of things on the screen and certain things were coming after us. I know what you have to do essentially is protect Corneria. So there is a number at the bottom of the screen that says the damage that Corneria is at. You can't let it get to 100. And you just had different things flying towards it. And you had to decide where to go. It was a little overwhelming at times because there were a lot of different things on the screen, and you had to make a choice which one you wanted to go after. But once I felt like I kind of got it down, I did have more fun with it than I thought. For the most part, I still think this is my least favorite of the three.
Oh,
But
really?
I did still enjoy it for the most part once I kind of figured it out.
I have a question that came to me while playing Star Fox 2. Since the whole thing is the main planet you're concerned about with all of these is Corneria.
Right, represented in the bottom left of the map.
Yes. Is the planet named Corneria because it is in the corner?
Well, technically on Star Fox 64, you can rotate the map, so it doesn't always have to be.
But here's the crazy thing. I don't know if Mike thinks he's onto something or if he's being really clever. But no, Mike, I don't think so. That is funny. So Star Fox 2, you, like Jordan was saying, you navigate this map of a solar system, I guess is what you'd call it. And there are planets that infinitely spawn enemies, and they will send enemies towards Corneria, enemy ships. And so you have to move on the map to intercept them. And then once you touch them on the map, then the game instantly jumps into polygonal 3D space combat until either you destroy the enemy, or they escape, or they do enough damage to your home planet that it blows up. There's also missiles that go much faster, and they can't fight back. You just have to chase them down and blow them up in time. And the bane of my existence, the carriers. Did you guys fight one of these enemy carriers?
Yes.
I believe so.
These are the ones that have the Death Star laser. And so they will just get close enough to the planet, and if they just sit there for long enough, it will be an instant kill on Paneria, and it's very stressful. And so what's cool though is that you're going from space fight, you go to a planet, and then now it's 3D, and you can even change into like a walker. So now you're walking on the surface like a mech, and going into enemy bases and controlling it like a 3D shooter. And throughout all of this, there's a running persistent clock. So you could be on the surface of a planet fighting a boss, and you'll get a message saying missiles are about to hit Corneria. It's like you chose badly. And just the time management of it, of okay, which conflict do I pick? I'm gonna stop this missile on the way to this planet, and then I'll swing by and get that carrier. Really into it. Mike, did you like it?
I don't think it communicated that there's that time thing going on, or the way that is going on well. In terms of like this clock is constantly going, that was very much not a thing I realized was happening.
Oh, so you were like, how come I get up a level and Cornelia is at 40% damage all of a sudden?
That part never happened. It was more you'd clear something and be like, oh, here's the time in units that I don't understand, applying towards a counter that I didn't realize existed. As an aside, I did discover I could save a bunch of time on the carriers, because when you encounter those and there's a whole bunch of fighters surrounding them, I had noticed that because you have to destroy the carrier by going into the carrier, and it's a cut scene.
Right. Yeah, it looks like a Star Destroyer, and then if once you destroy the one protecting it, or you go to the small opening, now you're going down a 3D rail kind of level. Yeah.
Yeah, and I decided to try something, and it worked, which was if I just hit the boost and went straight to that ship, I would just skip all the. I never interacted with the fighters.
Oh, okay.
Which was great.
That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I wonder if this will work. I was like, yep.
We love a good shortcut.
What did you guys think of the walker? The instantly change into Jordan's not feeling it.
I mean, I do like how it seemed like it kind of auto-aimed for you. It kind of took a little bit off your plate with that. I don't know, man. Controlling it was just kind of funky. It never seemed like it went the direction I wanted it to. And then there were times I forgot that it could jump, and I was wondering what the heck was going on. And
oh yeah, I didn't know it could jump until I'd used it a few times.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't hate it, but I don't necessarily love it.
It got a lot better once I actually started using the ability to rotate.
Yeah, the trigger buttons.
Yeah.
And then that became much easier to handle. I do find it weird that for some of the stuff where go on the planet and then you have to infiltrate something, it switches you back to the ship to do a cutscene to enter a doorway, and then it's just I don't know why that's how this is.
Because it's dope, Mike, because it's transforming in real time. I love the polygons actually shifted, you know what I mean? I thought it was neat. But Jordan, it ain't got nothing on the N64's vehicle levels. Will you talk to me about the Landmaster and the Blue Marine in Star Fox 64? Because we haven't touched on this yet.
So the Landmaster, I'm sure, is what most people who aren't big Star Fox fans might recognize, because that was used in Smash Brothers.
Yeah, it's a super move.
As their final Smash, yeah. So the Landmaster is essentially a tank. I believe there's only 2 stages that you use it on.
Yeah, the train chase and then the alien planet one.
The train one is Macbeth. The other one, I think, is Titania, are the 2 stages that you use the tank on. And it's pretty cool. It also has everyone knows the barrel roll in Star Fox, of course, except when it does the roll, it just kind of launches itself from one side of the screen to the other. So it's going full evasion, evasion, however you want to say that, evasive mode.
Yeah, evasive
it's a giant
mode.
rolling tank. As far as the Blue Marine, you only have 1 stage where you're using that. That's Aquas, which is, I believe, the 3rd stage on the hard route.
That sounds right.
And that is a very fun one, mostly because it has unlimited torpedoes. which is the equivalent of the Arwing bomb, which are very limited. But no, those I spam A and B at the same time the whole way through that level. I just fire torpedoes at everything, which in that stage also help you see because it's dark under the water in that stage.
Yeah.
The torpedoes will light it up a bit for you.
So this is the underwater thing that the
Yes.
AI mentioned. Okay.
Aquas.
Yeah. And it's a great boss fight too, because you get to this. It essentially looks like you just run into a dead end. You're like, is this a big rock wall in front of me? And it's dark. And then the wall separates and you see this glowing green eye because it's a giant freaking clam.
Yep.
And you have to blast its like fibrous muscle tissues inside. And it's a moment. And Jordan, I'm happy you mentioned the barrel rolling and like the hovering of the Landmaster. I feel like Dark Knight owes something to this game, or maybe Batman Begins. When that Batmobile is just hauling off, and you feel the weight of it as you feel the speed and power of it. It's kind of thrilling. Like, did you do the train chase level for Star Fox 64 where you control the tank?
I didn't do a train chase level. I did Titania.
Okay.
Because that was right after a point that I nearly gave up on the game.
Oh no.
Which was, so to get to Titania, it's after you fight some giant space robot.
The secret weapon.
There's a lot of those in these.
Where you destroy its head, and then apparently to finish destroying it, you have to keep shooting where the head was.
Okay.
And I have no idea. Yeah, I didn't know, and there was nothing I saw that indicated that the reason that I kept getting stuck there was that I needed to shoot a thing that didn't exist anymore.
Huh. I don't know, Jordan. Do you remember this boss fight? It's not ringing a bell.
Yeah, I do. This is the one where Slippy gets smacked.
Oh yeah, when Slippy's like in danger.
Yep, Slippy's like, I got this, and then bam, he's gone.
And you have to like rescue him, don't you, in the next level?
You rescue him in the next level, yes. Titania is the one where you rescue him. The boss he's talking about where you have to shoot his head is the level before that.
Yeah, and just I don't know that I needed to shoot at a thing that wasn't there. I don't know how I was supposed to figure that out.
I think you just keep shooting until something happens.
I kept shooting until something happens, and what happened every time was I got smacked around by a headless robot until I was dead.
I mean, get good, Mike.
And if you know that's where you have to shoot, you actually can still take it out before he smacks Slippy away.
Oh, does Slippy...
That's where it will then part to like the stage in the middle, which I might be Macbeth, the one in the middle then?
I actually think this may be a situation where because I looked up a walkthrough, and I was like, oh, that's what I got to do. I think I may have actually done that, and then deliberately was like, no, I'm not going. Like, this is the easy path. The hard path is up. I'm going the low. No, take me to the one as though this happened.
Looking at the map here, yeah, that's Sector X where you fight him. If you manage to defeat him before he smacks Slippy, you're going to Macbeth. Or you can change it, of course, if you want, to the easier one. And if he gets Slippy, you're going to Titania. Both the tank levels.
It made for exactly the one time I ever used the change path, because it's the one time I ever had the option.
So Nintendo Star Fox 64 has kind of a novel level select because you're going from planet to planet or star system to star system, and there's secret requirements in each level that will either take you to a more challenging way through the game where you get the true final ending, or you can just play straightforward and get like the easier ending with the easier final boss. And it kind of rewarded playthroughs to experiment and to kind of see levels you hadn't seen before. Like, you can't see all of this game in one sitting, and I think that's neat. I played, I think, for the first time maybe ever, but at least in a long time, the psychedelic hyperspace level. Jordan, you know what I'm talking about?
Psychedelic hyperspace level?
The asteroid field has these blue pulsing rings, and if you go through one, your Arwing will start to barrel roll unstoppably. Normally, a barrel roll is just like a half a second of spinning. It's the spins and spins and spins, and then you have to go through another one that's elsewhere on the screen. If you can go through all 5 or 6, and it's getting progressively harder because you're getting in less and less control, you will jump into hyperspace, and the fourth wall is shattered with really psychedelic colors, and the number 64 flies towards the screen. And I was like, this is weird. Like, I didn't know Star Fox broke the fourth wall like that.
And that's you have to go through those rings to get to the stage in the middle then, right? The Katina or whatever. I haven't
Yeah.
gone to that. I haven't gone to that level in wow. I don't think I've done that one since I was a little kid. I never do that level.
That's the Independence Day one, isn't it?
Yeah, with the giant mothership, and it's the one where you see his dog friend Bill.
Bill, take care. But I think Fox and Bill had a romance back in the day. I don't know if you feel the romantic
Whoa.
tension between those two.
I don't know, man.
Here's why I think that. Okay, listen, internet. Look at the screenshot. Bill goes, "Take care, Fox," and Fox says, "You too." ... Bill.
Bill.
Oh, Bill. We never talk about those days from the war. Keep it classy, Mike. Keep it classy. I think this is a perfect segue then to talk about the Star Fox universe. I really love the aesthetic of these games. It's tech and it's magic and it's like, I mean, it's furries. There's no other term for it. Like they're anthropomorphic pilots, but they have such personality. I really love even going back to the SNES. I mean, yeah, I had to read their transmissions, but they'll ask you for help, they'll thank you, they'll scold you if you accidentally shoot them, and they have these very distinct kind of personalities that carries through all the games. I really like the Star Fox characters. Do you guys?
Oh, I mean, I was always a Falco fan. He was just too cool, man.
Mike, what do you think of the Star Fox characters?
Honestly, I was somewhat underwhelmed by them.
Well, you won't be now because we are going to play a minigame minute. Marry, Fox, kill. So we are going to rank them romantically. Oh, listen, Mike, listen. My students are starting to ask about the podcast, so keep it classy, okay? Which one of these three boys, Bachelor number 1, Falco Lombardi, the brash Falco, Bachelor number 2, Peppy Hair, your father's old friend, and Bachelor number 3, Slippy Toad, who's marriage material? Who would you kill? And who is just kind of foxy? Would be fun to take out on a date, right? I know my answers. Who wants to go first?
Yeah, so I have to do it too, huh?
No, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. I'm happy to just.
I don't want to be unfun. I mean, yeah, I guess, man. If I'm killing any one of these, he wasn't as bad in the first 2 games, but Slippy, man, Slippy's the worst. He's the worst. He's such a little whiny brat in this game, man.
My organs are nice. He's just So I need to be needed. Okay, I love doing.
He definitely needs you.
Would marry Slippy.
He's worthless. He needs all the help he can get.
I love him.
Arguably, it's the least toxic option.
Right. No, the relationship with your father with Peppy Hair.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen, if we're talking Foxy, I mean, Falco's got that spicy attitude to him, man.
But it's too easy, though. Here's the thing. Yeah, Falco's a looker, okay? But he knows it. You don't want to be with somebody like, you know what I mean?
I guess, but I don't know, man. He's just too cool.
I would kill Falco because I kill Falco. It's arrogance. I don't like arrogance. I would marry Slippy, and I think Peppy is a little foxy.
I'll tell you the one thing about Falco that I didn't quite understand. So, as you said, you often have to rescue them if they have someone chasing them. So, in the original game, the original Star Fox, Falco will ask you for help. He says, "Hey, there's someone behind me." If you take that guy out, did you see what he says after you rescue him?
I guess I should be thankful.
No. That's in 64. In the original one, if you rescue him and take out the guy behind him, he says, "Mind your own business, Fox." And I don't get why. Was this lost in translation? Because it just doesn't make sense. Because he was just asking for my help before that.
See, that's a toxic relationship. I think Mike is right.
Yeah, I just don't get that one line.
Should we talk about the Joy-Cons of these games? Things we didn't like? I mean, we kind of been hitting on it a little bit, but I think that Star Fox 2, I feel like it's open world, sort of pick your encounter sort of gameplay. It didn't always feel fun because like there'd be moments of like, okay, I'm going to intercept the missile. Okay, 3D graphics, intercept the missile. Literally like half a second, I blow up the missile and now I'm back. And it's like, you kind of wasted my time there. Like, I almost wish they had done some sort of thing where like you could upgrade your ship to like shoot the missiles down without going into the 3D battle. I don't know. Did you guys play on normal or expert mode?
Oh, normal.
Yeah. It's expert mode is stressful. I lost pretty quickly and I was like, wow, Corneria can really go down fast.
Yeah, no
Mike,
interest in
normal or
that.
expert?
No,
What do you mean no?
I believe that had an easy.
Oh, you did easy mode?
I did easy mode.
Okay. Mike, did you beat Star Fox 2?
Surprisingly, yes.
Whoa!
Hey,
ファミリーコンピュータ
That's awesome. So that's the one of your three. Jordan, did you beat Star Fox 2?
I did, man.
Oh yeah, you did.
ファミリーコンピュータ
And I Nintendo did as well.
My man.
ファミリーコンピュータ
Sweet. Boys.
Yeah. That one was partially why I was interested to hear that this was fully finished, because I did reach that earlier than like when I reached that point. I'm like, I did not expect this to be reaching an ending this quickly.
Well, it's because easy mode. So, like I said, Star Fox 2 doesn't have a set path. So the game ends when you wipe out the enemy carriers and then confront the evil person's home base. And so with less enemy carriers on the screen,
How many carriers do the others have?
I know that normal mode has at least 2 or 3. Jordan, do you remember?
I remember 2,
Okay.
I think.
I would say easy mode had 2 carriers.
Okay. Well, and then also, I don't know, did you visit all the planets to take them down? Because you don't have to, I don't think.
I did. I thought that was what triggered going on to the final. I don't know what triggered going on to the final.
I don't know either.
Like I had completed all of that, and I presumed that's what triggered that, but I may be wrong.
I assumed so.
There was times like I kind of missed the big, epic on rails levels. I mean, Star Fox 64 is just so cinematic, and I love a good rail shooter. So I think the rail levels are more fun than the 3D ones. Would you guys agree?
Oh, yeah.
I think I like the 3D ones more.
So we played multiplayer with a friend of the show, Crystal. She's going to be back on our next fighting game episode, by the way. I don't know, we had kind of a fun time, Mike. Like you and I had some really close matches. I won one, you won one. I forget who had more overall, but like there were several dogfights where we were each down to our last hit. And I had totally forgotten that there was I guess it's not a PvE mode. You are competing to shoot down the most enemy ships, and if you kill each other, you reset that person's kill counter back to 0. That's just such a great concept, I think. So the multiplayer aged better than I thought it would. Jordan, did you guys play multiplayer back in the day?
So, as a little kid, I did. Not so much anytime recently, but I do remember doing like the 4-quadrant screen when I was a small child. And I know you're going to love this. We all fought over who got to play Falco.
Of course you did.
It
Youngest brother got to
was
play
never
Snippy.
me. It was never me because I was the young brother with my brother's friends. So I always lost out on that.
But it's just, I don't know, Nintendo multiplayer games have such clever little touches. I was just talking with Crystal and Mike about how I love that in multiplayer, each of you have a different color laser. Player 1 fires yellow, player 2 fires red, player 3 fires green, and player 4 fires blue, I guess.
Presumably.
Right. But like, that's great because the screens are really small and the levels are kind of large. So you'll often just see something off in the distance. You'd never know which player that was if all of the gunfire was the same color. But so I know, okay, I want to take down player 2. He's the red player. He's going to die soon. Find the red flashes of red on the screen and go in that direction. Mario Kart does that too, Mike, with the whole color coding of like block fort. And I feel like it's just something that kind of gotten away from some game designers. Is just the importance of using color, not just for aesthetics, but to give the player information. And I really loved it for that reason. And that's kind of what I have to say about these games. Do you guys have anything else to touch on that you either liked or didn't like about any of them?
So let me ask a question. We all beat Star Fox 2. Do you guys remember by any chance what percentage damage Corneria was at whenever you finished it?
So do you want to go into that next? Because I have a special section devoted to your podcast, Arcadiology, Jordan.
Oh, if you want to add that to that section, absolutely.
Mike, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so brought to you by Arcadiology Podcast, let's do our very first high score in 30 years ago. We have never compared our actual scores in these games. And one of the cool things about Jordan's podcast is that they will compare how much money they would have had to spend back in like the 80s or 90s. They keep track of their quarter usage. They keep track of the deaths and their overall high score. So we thought it would be kind of fun to, in honor of Jordan's podcast, to compare our scores on these. So let's start off with Star Fox on the SNES. Total score for me, and in fairness, I use rewinds. I use save states. 54,500 average score for Star Fox and the SNES, 90%. How'd you guys do?
So I also use save states. So this comes with a bit of an asterisk on it, but
Oh, you beat me.
it's the first time playing it, so I said we'll use some save states. It's
Yeah,
okay.
nothing wrong with that.
Final score was 55,200.
Oh,
Average score 92%.
dang it! You barely beat me.
I'll make it a little better. That was on level 2, so the middle difficulty one rather than the easiest one.
Okay, I think that's what I played on as well.
Okay, yeah, I did both level 1 and 2. Level 1 just to get the feel for it, and then I switched it up.
Now,
Did that
Mike
second
didn't
one.
beat this game, but watch somehow his score is higher. Mike, what'd you get?
No, no, it is not. So my score, which is the score that it showed at the end of stage 3.
Okay, that's how far you got.
Yeah, so I got into stage 4, but I don't know how many points I got on that before I died.
Sure.
Was 27,200.
Right. I mean, I don't know how far I would have gotten without rewinds.
Oh yeah.
Star Fox 64. Do you guys want to compare your total hits, or do you want to compare the amount you charge General Pepper? Because Star Fox 64, you're a band of mercenaries fighting on the side of good, coincidentally. But so there's a cute little ending screen when you beat the game. There'll be a bill that
Mhm.
you are, like Ghostbuster style, charging Corneria for your services. And so you can see exactly how much your services cost. What do you guys want to do? What do you consider the score for Star Fox 64?
I only have one of those, so
Yeah, I didn't save the bill. I just saved the total hits.
Okay, my total hits, as you guys can see, 631. Jordan,
I'll go last.
Mike.
550.
Okay, that's respectful.
Okay,
Oh,
listen.
Jordan
Listen.
got into like the 800s.
Are you sure about that? Okay, listen. Like I said, I don't want to say I've no liked this game, but I have played this game
Break 1,000?
so many times in my life. And
What's your score?
so you guys you did the easier route on the bottom.
Don't judge me. Just give me your score.
Well, I'm just asking because if you take the hard route, there's significantly more enemies to shoot down.
I remember that. Yeah.
My highest one that I've ever gotten, and actually I did this kind of just like all willy-nilly throughout the night at a party a few months ago, and
All
I
right.
got my highest score somehow. 1,229.
Damn. Smite me with smoked.
Then I have a few other over 1,000 as well, but that was my highest one.
I was glad you were here. Dang, dude, you can play some Star Fox 64.
This is one of my games, man.
It's one of my games too.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. It's not.
There is a harder difficulty too, where you can get a way higher score than that even, but I've never tried that.
Is there some secret to racking them up? Is one of the planets like have a ton?
So let me look at my thing here. The one I have the most kills on is I think it's called Area 6, which is the next to last mission on the hard route, which got me 254 alone. Then Zona's
Wow.
got me 245 alone. So looks like those are the two that really boost that score up, as well as Venom.
So wait, so Jordan, have you? So Mike, I love this game, and I never knew that if you get a medal on Venom on the normal difficulty, you unlock tanks for the multiplayer, and if you get a medal on the hard difficulty final level, you get on foot multiplayer.
Wait,
Like
what?
you play as the characters outside of their ships.
I'm looking at my final score right now, and actually Venom, the hard mode Venom, is the only stage I did medal. I never even looked at the multiplayer though, so I guess I unlocked it.
You unlocked the coolest secret multiplayer mode, and you've never
And
even
didn't
tried
know.
it. That's
No idea.
hilarious. Well, I don't know. You're East Coast, aren't you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna do this. So listen, Nintendo. Are you listening, Nintendo? Like, how do we trigger the algorithm to make them listen? Say something inappropriate, but no, listen. You have to. So you have this thing called Nintendo Switch Online SP mode. Jordan, you know what this is? Have you heard of this?
I know there's like the SP games to play. It's about
Right. Do you know what that means?
so I never really played the SP games, but I do remember you talking about one of them on your Legend of Zelda episode a little bit.
Hey, look at you
But
listening to our podcast.
oh, of
Yeah,
course.
so it unlocks content as if you had played it as a kid. So like,
Mhm.
oh, GoldenEye, well, not GoldenEye, but like Legend of Zelda, you can load a version of the game where you have all your inventory already leveled up.
Mhm.
And it's not like it's breaking the game or hacking anything. It's essentially just giving you a save state that has already achieved that. And that would be great for this game. If I could just play those fun tank battles and on foot
Yeah.
battles and not have to, But on the other hand, though, with save states, I wonder if I can do it. I know you could do it, Jordan. That's
Well,
wild.
I'll come on over to Cali and unlock it for you guys.
That is literally an open invitation. Like if my time, time it would take for me to do it, I'd rather just buy your plane ticket. Well, so anything else? Oh, sorry. Let's do our score comparison for Star Fox 2.
Yes.
My total score 112,187, rank C.
Well, there you go.
Jordan?
You smacked me on that one. I didn't do so hot on this one.
You
There you
suck at
go.
Star Fox.
I was rank D, 78,659. I guess I just did the bare minimum.
So I think the Andros boss must get cooler because it was really disappointing to have the face in the first game and then just like the mask this time. I was like, that's not as cool.
I thought I remembered the boss fight being almost exactly the same in the first two games.
Oh, so my Andros had like a almost like a theatrical like Phantom of the Opera mask covering his face.
I don't think I remember that.
Mike, what did your final boss look like?
On
Star Fox 2.
Star Fox 2?
2.
It was like a mask that eventually separated, and then there was a weird cube.
Yeah, the cube is like supposed to be like him in the cockpit or something. I don't know. Okay, so yeah. And Mike, can you see? So I accidentally entered my highest score as Jayno.
Aha.
When I said gaming retro with Mike and Jayno, I saw you thinking like I should stop him. I should stop him, but he's not stopping.
Yeah.
Like,
You did the solar level? I hate that one.
is that the one where like your
The
tank
sun
burns up?
Yeah, you're damaged.
There's this lava
damage
level
the whole time. Oof.
It's so stressful, but it's kind of fun though because like there's a lot of healers, so you just gotta like farm the healing. This game's so cool. Anything else to say? Enjoy defense or joy criticism before we go to our rankings?
I was gonna say my score for Star Fox 2.
I'm sorry.
I guess that would be important.
Which
if you
was
beat me.
127,970.
You guys beat the crap out of me on this one. Dang, I did something wrong.
Mike beat me on this one. Mike is always accusing me of trying to stop the count, and that's literally what almost just happened. You beat me, and I almost blew right past it. You know something? Next time, just let me keep talking. I don't like this.
Oh, your corner
Congrats.
was
What
only
was your
5%.
So what was your rank?
It was still a C.
Okay. Well, does that mean that we each set the high score for one of the games? Wait, what was?
What'd you have for one again?
You beat me for one. I was
54,000. Oh yeah, I was
it.
barely ahead of you in one.
Yeah,
it was close.
That was fun. I liked it, Mike. I want to keep doing this. I like this idea of comparing scores. It's kind of fun. It felt fun on Arcadiology. Not to steal your thing, Jordan, but we won't do the arcade games.
No, please steal away, my friends. Steal away.
We will. We'll plug it every time. Arcadiology presents.
Okay, I love it. Sponsored.
Well, so let's go through all three games and declare each one a NintenDO or NintenDON'T. Starting off with Star Fox on the SNES. Jordan, you're our guest. You want to start off with you?
I'm saying NintenDO, especially if you're like me and you've already played 64. I mean, I don't know. It feels kind of cheating a little bit because this one did come first, but still, NintenDO. I mean, for an SNES game, yeah, it's all polygons and looks and feels a little funky, but it's still pretty advanced for that time.
Yeah.
And it's still fun to kind of just see where that whole franchise started. And like one thing you said earlier, Star Fox 64 is just essentially a remake of this. So you get to see some of those things from 64 all over again, how they originally appeared in this game, which is really cool. I think it's definitely worth a look. NintenDO for sure.
I agree. It's a NintenDO for me. I think it's probably a one and NintenDON'T. Like, I don't think I would play through it over and over again, but historically, you just got to admire what it was able to pull off on very basic hardware. And like you said, it's kind of fun to see. It almost feels like a Star Fox 64 like D-make in my mind, because that was my game too. Mike, for you, Star Fox SNES, the original, NintenDO or NintenDON'T? He's got to go NintenDON'T. Watch this.
I don't have this colored by I played Star Fox 64 and then I played Star Fox. I started with Star Fox. It doesn't have
the nostalgia for you. Okay.
Well, and also I went to Star Fox without having that as a reference point either.
Right.
And I'm going NintenDON'T. I found it really tough to sort of play, really tough to see what I was dealing with. I credit them for being that ambitious.
Right.
But it just was a frustrating sort of experience.
Yeah. And again, you don't save, you don't rewind. So like the choppy graphics making it harder to control, you were just taking the brunt of that. Yeah. No, I respect it. I understand it.
Yeah, just trying to see what I was dealing with with just the polygons was tough.
So, Jordan, for Star Fox 64, I think it's pretty obvious if anyone's been listening, you're a Nintendo. We do have two higher rankings, the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 64, invented by Ryan, Warboss 5. I I would fair to, I think it's fair to guess you're a Super Nintendo 64.
I mean, yeah, sure. Just go ahead and throw this up at the highest level. Let's go
Yeah.
for it, man. Let's go for it all.
I'm so glad you like it so much. I adore this game, and I was a little worried, that I was going to be the only one gushing about it, but it's such a part of my childhood. I've bought it 5 or 6 times. I've never regretted buying it. I've never regretted playing it. It's just like a smile machine. It's just so good. Mike, what about you for Star Fox 64? Come on. You got to give me this one.
I don't have to give you anything.
He doesn't have
You
to do
don't.
anything.
But you're going to, 'cause you like me.
It definitely is nice to actually see what I'm shooting at. That is a distinct improvement over Star Fox. I think part of what's frustrating here is just enough in terms of levels where it's not clear what I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm supposed to do something that I do not know how I'm supposed to know that's what I was supposed to do.
So is that a deal breaker, though?
I think it means it crosses the line over into Nintendo, but it is very close to that line.
Oh, okay. I mean, I was just like, look, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. Vin Diesel, Fast and Furious.
Oh God.
Star Fox. George, like it's late where I am. I have to deal with this.
Which of the 37 Fast and the Furious movies is that?
I think it's just the first one, actually. I think it's just the Fast and the Furious.
When it was actually about street racing.
It was a good movie. Jordan, what's your ranking for Star Fox 2?
This is the closest one, but I do think it's just barely unique enough for me to just barely throw it in Nintendo. I think, like you said about the other one, this is a one and done. I beat it once and I didn't feel like I needed to play it again. I feel like I saw what I needed to see, but I am glad that I at least tried it the one time. So that's just enough for me to say Nintendo for this as well.
So I'll admit I kind of like the novelty of this, but this one really surprised me. Being that it was canceled, I expected it to be shoddy. I expected it to be like, okay, they didn't release this for quality reasons. I didn't know it was purely commercial and, marketing reasons. I was really taken with the whole real-time strategy element, having to, pick your conflicts, return to your home base to heal. You could pick your squad members and they had different abilities, shields and bombs and healers and stuff like that. And then having Corneria be at risk and seeing it take damage, I felt connected in a way that I actually hadn't with the other games, like emotionally. Plus, it's the debut of Starwolf. The Starwolf team made their debut in Star Fox 2.
And he's cool,
It's
man.
Super Nintendo for me. I think it's just historically and gameplay wise, just so unique and so wacky. And it's like, you gotta try this one. Because if for no other reason, those devs went almost 30 years with no recognition after making a pretty good game. Super Nintendo for me. Mike, Star Fox 2?
I think it feels like it's not a finished game, and I wonder to what extent that it simply is. They added so many different things into this
Okay.
that I wonder if that is simply to have that many different things, to have here's levels you can walk around, but you can switch to the ship and fly around if you need to. There's 6 characters, and you can pick which characters you're using. If all of that is why it feels like it's a shorter game, like it's an almost incomplete game, it just in terms of runtime, not like missing features, but all of that noted. And I have one question about that game I'm going to ask about because I don't understand something about it. But all of that noted, I'm going Nintendo. I think actually of the 3, it's the one that I had the most fun with once I figured out what was going on, which had a heck of a learning curve on it.
Right.
Because I don't think it explained much of that.
But I had a feeling because you like the strategy games. And I think that extra little layer, I think you must have appreciated.
Heck yeah.
There were some weird coins that I found on certain levels on Star Fox 2, and I have no idea what they are or what they do. Do you have any answers?
Jordan?
The only thing I know that it fully heals your shield, but besides for that, I'm almost positive there's more to it than just that, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Hey, let us know in the comments, guys, if you know what the coins in Star Fox 2 are all about, because we all beat the game and none of us know. I wonder
I only
if it
ever got
unlocks
like
something.
2 of them.
Yeah.
I found a couple of them. I'm like, the heck does this? This feels like a collectible that does a thing beyond the part of this game because it feels out of place. I'm like, no idea what this giant coin the size of a mech is, but I'm going to collect it. So
It's official. Nobody knows what the coins do. Nobody knows. You hear that comment section?
I at
No
least
idea.
know that part of it. The
Yeah.
shield restoration. There's at least that. But there's definitely more to it.
Well, guys, that brings us to the moment of truth. We've covered the Joy Pros, the Joy Cons, and every bit in between. We've declared the games as 3 Nintendos. So, pretty good. Pretty good. Very solid episode. I think we're going to call that game over for today, though. Jordan, it meant so much that you joined us on this holiday weekend. As General Pepper would say, we are in your debt. Why don't you tell our listeners where can they find your stuff? Where can they find Arcadiology and anything else you're working on?
So you can find us at pretty much any social media at Arcadiology. And just to be safe, I want to point out that it is an I in the middle. We wanted to spell it like archaeology, but there was already another Arcadiology with an E in the middle. So it's Arcadiology with an I in the middle. That's a very important aspect. Pretty much all social media, man. We don't post a ton on social media yet, but we have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that. And of course, anywhere you listen to podcasts, Arcadiology is on there, man.
Very cool.
Come and listen to us talk about some old arcade games. Have a good time.
yeah. And at the point that anyone's listening to this, the Joe and Mac Returns episode will already have been live for a while. So you can go check that out.
That's right.
Jaymo, I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that one. And I'm not going to say why.
So he hasn't played it?
No, I played Joe and Mac 2, but I'd never played the single screen arcade game.
Okay, so he doesn't know why it's a little saucy then.
Oh, we talked about
that
it on
he's
our live
seen.
stream episode.
Okay.
There's other parts of that. There's parts not about the game, but of the episode that I'm looking forward to him reacting to.
Okay.
That'll be a fun listen. I can't wait. So everyone join us next time when Mike and I get animalistic as we dive deeper into the Nintendo Switch Online catalog in our epic quest to research and review them all. Next on the docket, obscure mascot platformers from the forgotten annals of yesteryear. I almost said that word wrong. Also, don't forget to visit yesteryear. It's a tough word, Mike. Also, don't forget to visit www.theoldswitcheroo. That's switcharoo.com. Yeah, Jordan, we've got spelling issues with our name too.
Yeah,
okay,
you gotta
buddy?
be sure. You gotta be sure the people know, man.
At www.theoldswitcheroo.com, you can find our links to our Spotify, our Discord, our YouTube, our TikTok, and all the social medias that you can shake a joystick at. You can even leave an old-timey voicemail, meaning we would literally love to hear from you. Please like, comment, subscribe, and review. As always, thanks for listening to The Old Switcheroo, where we've been talking gaming retro with Mike and Jaymo.
I've been Mike.
And I've been Jaymo. Game on, everyone.
I note on the outro, you're Jaymo and not Jano.
Oh, no more Jano. I think you just forgot.
Long live Jano.